Jūs šodien redzēt, šeit tik daudz, tiešām jūs ir daudz. Un šī ir jau 4. EKU GIGA nedēļas lekcija, kas nozīmē, ka šī nedēļa jau sāk iet uz beigām, bet mums ir jau 4. lekcija. Jā, tā jau teicu. Tātad. Un šodien mums runās Renčaks, un tad jau viņš pats pastāstīs, ar ko viņš nodarbojas, iedos kādu dzīves gudru ziņu, kaut ko tādu. Okay, the stage is yours.
Okay, paldies. Okay, wow. Okay, we're going to jump right into the learning. So, I'm going to make a sound and then I'm going to test you to see what sound it is, okay? Everybody ready? Yes. It's important because you won't graduate unless you get it right. Okay, ready? Oh, shit. Okay. Free cold beer. And this stuff, which is really bad. But please help yourself. And thanks to Aneta and Dinas for getting it. So, no, come on. If you want a beer, grab it. Or this or Chris or... I think it's popular. If you want to open it, who needs it? Do you want it open? It's very.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good use of water bottle. Open it, the guys can open it. You want it open?
Yes. Thanks.
Does anybody need it open? Yes. I won't give it to you. I'm sure all these guys know how to do this, yes?
Thank you.
My pleasure. Open. You can't drink it if it's closed.
It's true, yeah. Thank you.
You guys know how to do this, right? I'm sure. Open?
Yeah, sure, why not? Thank you.
Okay. Do you want that open? No? Do you need it open?
It's open.
You carry an opener with you. Ah, and what's are your grades okay? Okay. Okay, that beer smells really good. Now let's do the first lesson. So my name is Fred Renčaks, and I'm the CEO of the group CEO of BITE. It means I'm the CEO in Latvia and Lithuania. I've been in Europe since '96. I went from Canada to Germany to help out with deregulation of the German telecommunications industry. And then I moved from there to, I moved all over to England. And then I started a company with a bunch of guys in Romania and Czech Republic. And we sold those to Vodafone in 2005 for $4.5 billion. And now I'm in Latvia since 2007. Don't ask me if I speak very good Latvian, because then I'll have to tell you I'm not too smart. And Latvian is super difficult. So I started for the first little while, but there's lots of rules. So let me start off telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you some lessons I've learned along the way in various parts of my career and life, really. And some are a little bit funny, but some are really important looking back when Anat and I thought of you guys as students. Yeah, what would I want to hear if I was you guys? From somebody that's got gray hair and that has done some of this stuff. And I have an economics degree, by the way, so I'm with you guys in part. Okay, first lesson. What's your favorite kind of beer? Balska, Valmermuja, what else? Užavas. IPA, what else? Okay, all wrong. Your favorite kind of beer is? free beer. Thank you. Again, the guy with the opener, I think. Okay, let's jump in. So I'm Canadian. I didn't learn that for this presentation. Here are 3 things about Canada, just to get you familiar. Nobody outside of Canada knows what a 2-4 is. But the Canadian Prime Minister, he's new, and he's really good looking, and he's really kind of trendy all over the world. He was visiting the White House, and even Barack Obama was trained on what a 2-4 is, because when he was making his speech welcoming our Prime Minister, he said, "I should have brought a 2-4. And that's every Canadian kid learns that when you're drinking age or earlier. And a 2-4 is because our boxes of beer have 24 bottles. And we call it a 2-4. But they're smaller bottles. Okay, number 2. This is really important. Justin Bieber is not really Canadian. I think he's American. He's pretending to be Canadian. But I think he's a bit of an idiot, actually. So I put idiot. Justin Bieber is an idiot, but Annette took it out. I hope there are no Justin Bieber fans here. After I've said that. Nobody's related to Justin Bieber here, is there? It's not your father. Okay. Canada should be more proud of being multicultural, because in Canada it's unbelievable how many different kinds of people we have. Red, black, white, yellow, pink. We have everyone. And in fact, if you go to Toronto, which I highly recommend because it's a really beautiful city, in Toronto, there are signs in our Greek town in English, the street signs, underneath they're in Greek. It's one of the only cities in the world. And when you go to Little Italy in Toronto, you can get better pizza than in Italy. And everybody in there is Italian. So from one thing that I've learned in Canada when I've traveled around is that we're really multicultural. And it's something to be really proud of. So now you know. Okay, I want to tell you about 3 things I've learned in university. I think they're really helpful for you. As I said, I had a degree in economics. I had some really good professors, a couple that were published and really accomplished globally. And I learned a lot from these guys. An awful lot, and some of it which I practice in business today, in BT and the other companies I've worked in, and some of which I had to learn on my own. What I wanted to tell you guys is about this stuff that I kind of learned on my own. When you're a student, if you do, I found generally that the students that did more than just study, as you guys are drinking beer, this is good hope. The students that did more than just study, all of my friends, yeah, like 50 friends that reunited after some period of time, the common theme with the people that were more successful, and I don't mean just wealth or job title or any of that shit, I mean just generally more successful and more well-rounded, were the people that did lots more. So they had a job, they were running a students' council, they were writing for a magazine, they were doing part-time work. You know, the people that just can do 50 things at once. And some of you guys are natural at it, but if you're not, and I'm moving around, the cameraman's gonna kill me right now. He's going, shit, stay still. These guys learn that skill, learn to do 50 things at once. Because in business, I always look for the person that can do 50 things at once. Yeah, I don't care if they have a degree from Harvard or Yale or any other good school, but I always look for the person that can handle multiple things. If you go to somebody and they are panicked at 2 things, well, shit, for sure they can't do 6. Yeah, and I'd want them to do 12 things simultaneously. So practice, because you guys are young and the time to do it is now. And that's really a skill that you don't get taught in university, really. And they don't, I don't know if it's encouraged or not. It's certainly not a course, but it's really valuable. And I highly recommend it. Okay, three things that university graduates are almost entirely horrible at when they come to work. And in fact, most people in the office are not very good at this either, these three things. And these are super important. 3 years ago, I did a bond deal. We raised 200 million euros. You have to travel around with the Goldman Sachs guys to all the cities. You have to make pitches to get people to lend you the money, and 200 million is not a lot, but it's not a little either. And you'd be shocked at the number of people that can't present. So if you wanted me to come back one day, I'll give you a really short but hopefully effective presentation skills course. I'd be happy to do that. But it's a super skill to learn. It trumps almost all of them. It's better than almost all the skills you're going to learn, because people are usually pretty ineffective at getting their message across. And sometimes, especially in my job, you can hear somebody and you think, shit, I swear a lot. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm like your student, so. You can see a person has great ideas, they just can't get them out. Or even in a presentation, they do a presentation, and typically the engineers, I have lots of them. I was the chief technology officer at Vodafone in Czech Republic, and you see an engineer do a presentation, and there's about 600 words on the slide, and you can't read them. And you know, wow, there must be some really good shit there, but where? So I would practice this a lot. And I'd be happy to come back and do a small seminar with you on it. But if you can't get your idea across, then you're really behind, yeah? And they don't teach you that in university, really, because I can tell you, are there any professors here, first of all? No? Assistant professors? Want to be professors? Okay, good. Professors are really crap at this. Yeah, they're really crap at this. So they won't teach you that. They're really great at other things, but they won't really teach you how to present. Because in the academic world, lots of it's on papers and things like that, especially when you do your master's or PhD. But it's a skill in business you need for sure. Also teamwork. How many people play sports? 1, 3, 4. Okay. Drinking is not a sport. So drinking is not included in your list, right? Okay. But team sports are really important. I played hockey all the time. You'll see about a bit about hockey and drinking. But hockey taught me how to play as a team player. Because, you know, in hockey, if you go into the corner, yeah, and you get hit, you're guaranteed that your line mate is going to go in there and hit the guy that just hit you. If he doesn't, you're going to give him shit in the dressing room afterwards, or the coach will. So you leave no man behind, you protect your teammates no matter what, and you'll be ever so much more successful if you learn how to work as a team. Yeah, so you learn how to get people, and here's what I mean by that. Oh, I covered my microphone, sorry. I mean that get used to getting ideas out of people. It's really important. Yeah, so facilitation, that's part of the teamwork. So when you're in a meeting with me and I'm reading your body language and I'm saying, she wants to say something, but she's not right now. So I encourage it. I say, hey, please, what's your name? Alina. Please, I think you have something to say, or I'll say it in a nice way and get that person to say something. So be a good facilitator, that's part of the teamwork. And they don't really teach you that in university. And finally, it's not really presentation skills, although they're highly related, because I know people that can't communicate, but that can do good presentations. But communication skills. And again, I can't help but tell you that, you guys are urban planners or all kinds of things around this space, engineers. If you can't get your idea across, it's almost like not having the idea. So I'll tell you later how I think I would approach this, but I would use every moment I had to practice that skill. It's invaluable if you want a successful career, and again, I don't measure it by big cars or by big salaries, but if you just want to feel like you've accomplished something, you really need to be able to communicate well. At work, I'm a pretty good communicator. At home, my wife says I'm really shit. That's life. Now, university has all kinds of professors. Some are really good, some are really bad, some of your classes are really boring. If I had it all over again to do, I was a pretty serious student. I locked myself up. My girlfriend never saw me. Saturday mornings, I went to the wine store because I liked wine all the time, good wine, and then that was it. Thursday night, of course, we got drunk. But this is normal and global, and the same you guys were telling me here. But Thursday night, we got drunk, but usually the only time I allow myself not to be studying or working was Saturday morning. All the other times I was working really hard. But what I meant by this is, it's up to you in terms of your investment. If you have a boring teacher and you don't feel like going to that class, I think it's a loss looking back, because I think the more I went to those and the more I tried to get something out of it, just it's your own time, it's your investment, yeah? The more I try to get something out of it. So even if I'm listening to a presentation, which I do a lot, or when I'm say I'm listening to a presentation at BITE, yeah, and I find it really confusing, or person's really not engaging everybody, I still really try to think of the way I could make it engaging, or ask the right questions, or help the person along, or even think about what I want to capture out of it, what's important. So I think this is another super important skill to have. Or you can just drink it away. Okay, here's what I learned in my first job. And it wasn't far from this, because I finished with a really good economics degree, and I had choice of jobs. And I thought, wow, 2 companies want me. I was like feeling pretty good about myself. I told my parents and my brother, and my first job, I signed up for a mobile phone company back in 1988. And the first job I had was really like a messenger. I was like, wow. And I learned all this economics theory and math, and you know how hard the math is in economics, especially, it's really like tough, yeah? And my first job was a courier. But I have golden advice for you. If you remember only one thing about today, I would remember this. If you have a choice in your career at any point, from the beginning to the middle to even the end, if you have a choice in your career, take the risky option. Now, some of you guys are going to email me in 5 years and go, you bastard, I made the wrong choice. And that's okay. But I had 2 jobs coming in a university. One was with kind of an established company, and they were not like a stockbroker, but they were called Burns Fry, and they were top 100, and I was top of my class. And so the big companies go and they tutor, I don't know, I forget the English, but they try and woo you, anyways. And then the other job was a mobile phone company, yeah? And it was just launched a technology. The size of a mobile phone when I started the business was like this. Yeah, this was the antenna, and you carry it like this. You guys weren't born then, but it was called a Mitsubishi 85, and the thing was like you could kill people with it. And so it was really risky. Nobody knew the technology. A cost per minute was super expensive, like super expensive. And nobody went there in that lineup. But I went to ask a friend of mine, and he was a super successful guy, and he was kind of a friend of the family, and by 28, he was the chief operating officer of one of the biggest real estate companies in Canada. 28, as a kid. And I said, which job should I take? He said, take the risky one. I said, but nobody's interested in it. He said, even better. Why? And here's the big lesson to learn. Because if you're any good, a busy company is going to give you all kinds of shit to do. As soon as you do one thing, they're going to give you another. And if you can do 2 things, they're going to give you 4. And if you do those 4 well, they're going to say, okay, well, we promote you. So the luck in my career versus other people was just taking that path at the beginning. And then I remember a couple of key points in my career when I got a call on Friday afternoon from the CEO. And I thought, wow, CEO's calling me. And I was in Romania. This was this startup company. And he called me up and he said, come on up to my office. And I thought, I'm going to get fired. What did I do? And so I go up there and he says, I want you to take over the IT department. And I said, well, I know Excel. I said, I know Word. I can do some emails, but I can't be the IT director. I don't know that stuff. And I went, he said, Fred, don't worry about it. It's just leadership we need there. And so I went home, I went out with my wife and we were going out with friends and we had lots to drink and it was the summertime in Romania, everybody's out in the patios and stuff. It's like 30 degrees. And I was thinking to myself, maybe the drunker I got, I was thinking, I should take this. What the hell? I'm a young guy still. If it doesn't work out, I could do something else. What's the worst that can happen to me? And it was invaluable, the experience that I got. So always take the risky option, in my opinion. But if you make the wrong choice later on, I'm not liable, if there are any lawyers in the room. Build your career like a house. So it's like a foundation. So if you go and get your very first job, and your supervisor's an idiot, and they give you really boring work, and you basically could just sit there because you're at a university, you're smart, and there's some old guy down the street, down the desk from you, he's not doing anything, so you figure, I'm smart, I could do a day's worth of work in 10 minutes. Don't do it. Make the most of it. Do more than you need to do. Do presentation skills, like over-deliver on stuff. Who cares if he takes it, throws it in the garbage? Learn how to do it. So really take advantage of this because I can tell you it steps up. And that's why there's this principle called the Peter Principle. Did you ever hear this principle? I think it's called the Peter Principle. You can Google it now. He's Googling it. It's something like this. I think it says that people are generally promoted into all the way up to and including a position where they're incompetent in. And I think that's true. You see a lot of people take a job and you go, oh shit, they can't do that job. Yeah? But it's this principle of not having a solid foundation. So like over-deliver when you're young and your first job. Take 2 jobs if one's not enough, giving you enough skill. Okay, the second most important lesson from me, and if, I don't know, maybe it's tied with number 1 in terms of importance. Especially in Latvia, I don't find the culture here yet. And what I mean by that is the culture of not making continuous improvements. If you have Apple TV or you can download the movie about the most famous sushi chef in the world, the Japanese guy is about 90. The guy works 10 or 12 hours a day. Okay, that's too much. But he continuously, he's the best in the world, 3 Michelin stars for 10 years in a row, and every day he goes in the mindset of trying to make the sushi better. And you think it's just cut fish until you see the movie, and my wife and I were blown away. But it's not a culture here. So what I mean by that is we have a group of people in the back office, they've been doing the same thing for 5 years and nothing changes until we prompt it to change. But if you get in the habit every day in your job, trying to figure out a little something extra to do, a little something to change, to improve on, people will spot you like a ray of sunshine in the November cloud of Latvia. So seriously, because people say, hey, shit, look at this person. They're always coming up with a little bit different way to do it, a little bit different way, a little bit a little improvement here or there. And it's just super important. And if I could say one thing that got me promoted all the time was this. People were saying, wow, like, at first they were saying like, how did you think of this? Or why did you do it? Or, yeah. And it just gets you important because they say, oh, well, shit, Fred, he's doing lots of work, but he's always trying to improve things. Yeah. And if you want to get really successful, then even if it's something, even if you're part of a team and the team's totally fucked up, And people are not, they're messed up, they're arguing and all that stuff. If you're the one that can step forward and lead, bring the team together and say, hey guys, this is not cool, we're not working together. Or in business, if you go, hey, we should have launched this product. Everybody's launching it because the CEO wants it launched, but the person that says, hey, this product isn't ready to be launched is always the one that catches everybody's attention next time. Okay, middle life. This is another section. Now, Annette, believe it, we're close colleagues, but she made me quite fat. But you gave me hair. Well, somehow we're even. Okay, here's some lessons about middle life. Being an asshole is not part of my manly existence or my manly essence. And we all have our sort of parts of our character that aren't good. Usually you hide it when you're young, and when you get older, you realize it a bit more and manage it a bit more. But something in midlife said, you know, sometimes I can be a real idiot, and it's better to recognize it. Even better yet if you go back and apologize or recognize it that way, because it really is something I learned a lot about. My wife will tell you I'm still studying this part. Age brings a certain amount of wisdom, but it's only valuable if you know how to use it. So if I say, no, I know how to do this, do it this way all the time, that's not wisdom. Telling people what to do won't get people anywhere, won't get your company anywhere. So if you work for somebody like that, then you're likely working for the wrong person, even if they're a bit older and more knowledgeable, because you won't catch much from that person. Yeah, guiding a person is what you need to do. And if you're working for me, I need to figure out, what do you do in school?
What I'm learning?
Yeah.
Customs.
Customs?
Yes.
So that'd be hard working for me in customs. but say it was Romania, we had a customs person because we imported all this equipment. But if you're working for me in your job, the best thing I can do with my age and wisdom is try to figure out how to get your personality involved in the job, especially in the brand, especially in the job Annette is doing. If she's doing it with her own personality and she's adding her own self to that job, kind of makes her feel more part of it and makes her feel like she can be herself and be natural. And the outcome is much more powerful because you don't have to, you come to work and you're yourself. So this is kind of a wisdom thing to learn. And this is a little bit selfish, but I love hockey. I play hockey. This week I'm playing hockey 4 times. Tomorrow I have a practice at 5:30 in the morning. I wish I was a pretty good hockey player when I was young, and then I missed 30 years, and now I'm playing with Latvian kids that are like 25, and they're kicking my ass all the time, or half the time. I wish I would have spent more time focused on hockey and not beer and girls or girls and beer, because I would have learned a lot more about hockey. Okay, this was the most successful company that I was with. This company starting the day the minister gave us the license, so we had nothing, no employees. This was like 7 of us. We won the license, and we sold this one and the Romanian one for $4.5 billion, both from zero. No building, no office, no employees, no pass cards, anything. We sold it to Vodafone for $4.5 billion. And the 3 lessons from this company, because I think they're really special. First one is a brand. The television commercial is like this little piece up here, but the real value in your brand is down here. And what I mean by that is we recently had I can't say the name of the company, I'll be in trouble, but should I say it? You're saying, no, I shouldn't say it. Okay. But we recently had a brand manager leave to a different company. And you'll see it advertised all the time. I ain't getting there. Okay, Ellen. You'll see it advertised all the time, but she recently went there. And her feedback was they don't know what a brand is. And it's a huge company. You've all heard of it. But they don't know what a brand is. So they just slap a TV commercial on and say, well, this is what we should make it. Make it sound cool and fun. But a brand is what a brand does. Remember that. So it's almost always about the service you deliver, about the messages, about how you support customers. It's almost always about that. And the lesson is if the advertising and how you act internally and you act towards customers is the same, powerful brand. Yeah, I bought my wife a BMW a little while ago for being an asshole for so many years. When you ride it, it is an ultimate driving machine. And when, of course, the service in Latvia is not so great. Sometimes they're a bit arrogant. It's not like the service in North America. The people really think that they work for like some super special car company. It is. But the important lesson is a brand is what a brand does. So at every interaction, when you call customer service and somebody's grumpy to you, that's the brand. That's more the brand than the TV commercials. And it's surprising how many companies don't believe it, don't feel it, don't live it, something like that, or part of all three. I say this is a really, and the Czech, I don't know if anybody knows anything about financial valuations, but how much you pay for a telephone company like BT when you buy it is a number of times the profit. So if BT was making, if BT was making 50 million euros a year, making more than that, but if BT is making 50 million euros a year, then we're worth something the industry today pays 6 times. 6 times your profit. Your financial person. So that's 300 million euros, if I'm doing my math right. And we sold the Czech business for 12.5 times. So 2 times more than the industry average. Okay, it was a little bit of different time. It was a better economic time, so you could say maybe it makes it more like 9 times. But 9 times is 50% more than 6 times because it was a super powerful brand. Because the guy, Sir Christopher Gent from Vodafone, the chief executive, when he was in Czech Republic checking us out and doing his due diligence, he'd walk into a restaurant or a bar and say, hey, do you guys have Oscar? And the waitress, luckily enough, we didn't know it, we didn't pay her. She said, yeah, I'm a BT customer. It's like, I'm an Oscar customer. It's like great company. You call them, they're always happy and friendly. So keep in mind that whatever you do, your own personal brand, or when you go out to work for a company, if you can influence them in the brand business, even if you're an engineering firm, in the brand business, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, I had a CEO in Czech Republic. She was like crazy. She pushed everything to the absolute limit. In Czech Republic, all the business sales guys used to have big cars. And she said, no, I want them all to be red because our brand was red, you saw. Imagine telling a really high-powered sales guy he's going to have to drive a red car. He was like, no, fuck off, I'm not driving a red car. And I was a VP of sales, and he's like, fuck, Fred, I'm not driving it. That's like, forget it. And we put the big brand, an Oscar happy face on the car. We put that happy face on the car, on the side of the car, huge. And I thought the sales guys were just going to take me outside in the back of the building and beat me up. And we had to, and the CEO said, I don't care, tell them to leave. But do you know what happened 4 or 5 years later? All the companies in Czech were driving branded cars. All of them. So really don't be afraid to push things, really push, even if they're not popular sometimes. Sometimes you're failed, but sometimes it's just a golden idea. So really push things. I learned that in the Czech Republic. Am I running late or not? Because I have a very big mouth occasionally. Okay. Okay. My favorite. If I want to start a fight with my wife tonight when she's a yoga teacher, and when she gets home from yoga, I usually pour her a glass of wine, and then if I want to really wind her up, I say, hey, fuck, Donald Trump is great. And she freaks out. I'll tell you why Trump's picture is here. Collaboration and good execution usually trump. You know, when you use that word trump means beat all. But I just put Trump in because I think it's really funny. He's actually going to win the Republican nomination. He wants to build a wall between the U.S. and Mexico. I'm just like, wow. But how to best say this? And again, it was a learning from my CEO in Vodafone, because we were all like, when you do strategy and you're all in the, if you do your strategy for an engineering company, strategy for a mobile phone company, your strategy for a surfboard company. All the surfboard company strategies are almost always the same. New products, cool logos, get pro surfers to use them. I even saw a strategy from a surfing company, so I know. Execution and collaboration are trump all, because all of the surfboard companies in the world, strategy is going to be close to the same. Get some hot surfer to use your board, show it up in Maui, ride big waves in other countries, and gets adopted. But what our CEO in Czech Republic said, she said, you know, I don't think our strategy is any different than the other guys. I'd even want to publish it. So the other guys knew what our strategy is. So that meant that what you guys needed to do, since the strategy was out and known by everybody in the country, we'd have to execute better. And so we did a whole bunch of things. We centrally managed a bunch of projects and communicated it. Like we had this project management office, and for that time in that country, it was a big thing and a big change. So just remember, the companies that you're competing with probably have the same strategy. They're probably thinking, oh, shit, we have the killer strategy this year. We're going to win the market. Almost always, it's just better execution. So it's really just fundamentals. I couldn't tell you, I have a chairman of, before we sold Bite in December, the chairman of my board was a guy I worked with in those other companies for like a long time, since '96. And I guess he's worth about 150, 200 million euros, something like this. When he was living in England, the person that came to see his house when he was moving to another house, he wasn't home, but his wife was. And when he got home, his wife said to him, I know the guy that came here to look at our house. And do you know who it was? Mick Jagger. Because he wanted to buy a house for his wife. So this guy is like really successful guy. He's worth 150 million euros. He's on the boards of all kinds of companies from Japan to Middle East to North America. And when I started Bite in Latvia, I was the CEO of Latvia first. And so him and I got together and we said, you know, I met with Petrus Schmidra, you know, remember, you know this guy? He was the guy that started Tele2. And so I met with him and a couple other people in the industry, and I found out how bad Bite Latvia was at the beginning. We didn't have a very good network. We didn't have a lot of people. You know, they only launched TDC. The owners of Bite at the time only launched it really to be a part of an add-on to Lithuania to sell it. So we had a lot of customers on the books, but they weren't really customers. In the first month, I did kind of an assessment of the company and what I needed to do. And I can tell you, I was like, holy shit, this is way worse than I thought. And when I had some dialogue and I sat down with my chairman, he's a really wise guy, he said, just short passes. So just focus on the basics. Where him and I use sports analogies all the time because we both came from a sports background. But in football or soccer, short passes. Yeah, don't worry about the kick all the way down the field. Just get it to the next guy 5 yards up. So in business, if you have an overwhelming problem, yeah, just work on some small pieces at a time. And collaboration and teamwork always trump, but not this kind of trump. Nobody likes him here, do you? No. I hope. Women for sure not. Okay, what I learned at Bite, and this is the last piece, and then we have an exercise, right? Okay. In the first Clinton campaign, so when Bill Clinton was first running for office, he was losing. And they were sitting in his room, all the advisors, and there's really high-powered guys as his advisors, and they were trying to figure out the strategy. And it never occurred to them that it was about the economy. Yeah? And so one of the chief advisors, did I just write on my nose? You're not going to tell me if I wrote on my nose. I could see that. One of the advisors, you know, in front of Bill Clinton, stood up and said, it's about the economy, stupid. Meaning, it's just about the economy. I'm telling you that business is only about the people. We have better equipment than Tele2 and LMT. nobody knows that, but we bought Huawei equipment. It's a world leader. So we have better equipment. It's more powerful. It's more modern. It's more software-based, not hardware-based. Yeah, it has a real advantage. But the only real advantage in business, because they can buy it, anybody can buy the technology. So there's no real advantage. Okay, Apple's a little bit different, but it's worth $1 trillion. It's really all about the people. And at some point in time, you'll get caught up in your career thinking it's about the strategy or about the technology, but people do that. So it's always about the people. So if you want a really good lesson from an old guy with gray hair or no hair, I have hair in my picture, thanks to Anata, but it's only about the people. Find good people, be on the lookout for good people all the time. Even if you're not, this is what this crazy CEO in Czech taught me. Her name was Carla. She was really whacked out, like crazy, but in a good way. She would even hire people, good people, even if there wasn't a job for them. Because she said, but Fred, what if what if there is a job and we can't find a right person? So she'd find a great person, figure out something to do, and sure enough, like 1 month or 2 months, or they'd find their own job, or somebody would take them, or we'd always be on the lookout for talent. I started that back. I lost that a little bit in Bite, and I started back in January. So I'm starting to interview people all the time, every week. I'm just looking for talent. I want to find some really good, talented people. If I don't have a job, I don't care. Yeah, don't be constrained by that. It's always about the people, stupid. Remember, it's a Bill Clinton lesson. There are other lessons not to take from Bill. This is a selfish point. I know you're all young kids, and you're going to have an influence, hopefully, in the Latvian society, and a disproportionate impact because you're going to be educated, yeah, and you're going to be part of a different crowd of people. But there's too much corruption in Latvia. I'll talk about that later. And there's too much inbreeding. You know what inbreeding is? This is when a sister and a brother are inbreeding. These are not a good result. So our Ministry of Transport, which is the ministry that is responsible for telecommunications, they own part of LMT. So every time I go to complain to the minister, I'm talking to a shareholder of LMT. And I'm like, fuck, I can't get, because it's his duty to a shareholder's own duty is to maximize the value of the company they're a shareholder of, they're a board member of. So it's really, this is stuck part. And there's many examples in Latvia where it's stuck like this. And as young kids, I urge you, I beg you to push those things. I'll talk about your responsibility in a minute, but I really urge you to challenge and push those things. This is a great country. I love it a lot. I'll tell you about that in a minute. It just needs, there's a little, forgive me for saying this in the wrong way, but there's just a little shit on the top we got to clean up to let everything grow. When you're in your business and you're worried about the balance of where you spend your time, do it about half customers and half people. And what I mean by that is spend equal amounts of time on the people and your customers. Hear what your customers are saying about your product, hear what they're complaining about, hear what they like, talk to them, listen to them. We made a decision to Bite as a result of that, yeah, when I was back involved today in the business, but also your people. And what I mean by that is take an interest in them. In the culture, not maybe your age, but well, it's not so much different in Bite, but in Bite, a lot of people don't know what a lot of people do, even if they sit beside each other. But your supervisor, your person that's mentoring you or growing you should really know. I should know what you sort of like on the weekend. I should know what you did. I should kind of have a feel, and this is not US basis, this is just, I should know enough that if you did something really good for me, like really, you did something great, I should try and do something for you that recognizes the fact I know you and I took the time out to do something for you special. So if you like, if you're a cyclist, Then on the weekend, I go and get you a bicycle, and on Monday I put it by your desk. Or something that really tells people that you know about them. So it's about the people, hiring good people, but also having fun and creating some real experiences. And Anetta and I can share with you afterwards, we've done a lot. Probably not so much in the last year or so because people have been really busy in the sales process, but it's super important. Half on the customer, half on people, but make the gift that you do customized. Treat people in a really human and special way, unique to them. You might want to give, I don't know, some guy a CD of, I don't know, dirty movies. But some guy might like a bottle of wine, or some woman might like, go buy her, do you get MAC makeup here? Oh, okay, that's no good. But if you didn't have MAC makeup and you had somebody that was working for you and they loved MAC makeup, figure out a way to find somebody that goes to a place to buy MAC makeup and bring it back to you. So you can make it really a special treat. And you'll just find that you get so much more connected with people, and it really works. A few more minutes. Okay. Yes. I think, without question, my wife and I were going for a walk. We call it the nudie beach. But we go for a walk with our dogs near Saltcresty. And it's usually a nude beach. Of course, I'm there. They always laugh at me because I'm there with my board shorts that are down to my legs, my ankles, and the nude guys are going, wow, he's weird. But the nudie beach, when we were walking down the nudie beach, we were thinking, wow, this is like the best country we lived in, outside of Canada. Okay, Canada's my home. So we lived in Germany, lived in an apartment on the Rhine River in Cologne, in Köln. We lived in London. We lived in Bucharest, in Romania. We lived in Prague, beautiful place in Czech Republic. Where else did we live? Well, I sort of lived a bit in Spain. And I think Latvia is the nicest country we've ever lived in. Really nice people, really nice nature. Yeah, it's safe. You know, there's no natural disasters. It's really fantastic place. And I used to run long distances, like really long races, like 250 kilometers. So on the weekends, I know you're saying he's pretty fat now, he can't do that. I used to run to Saltcresty, and my wife used to meet me on the beach with a cold beer, and that was my reward for running all the way to Saltcresty. Because you have to run up and around the railroad track by that river, and then you have to run back, and it's really long. You run, and there's just natural. You guys haven't let anybody build, except Jurmala is full of the big houses on the beach. But then you can go for wonderful walks in countryside. It's untouched, it's natural, it's not polluted. It's just beautiful place, except it's too corrupt. I face it a lot. Yeah, newspapers, Annette and I have a war going. I don't think we don't do press conferences anymore because no journalists will show up because we tell them we're not going to pay money to be in your newspaper. When they make a mistake, we try and correct them, but we notice really bad things. So in the beginning of the year, it was last year, yeah? Was it last year? The beginning of the year, what's the name of the newspaper? We can say it. Niatic? No, yeah, Capital is a disaster. Niatic yeah, okay, this one. So they say, hey, you want to advertise in our business? And it costs you, here's a whole package of, what was it, 3,000 euros? Or? Yeah, okay, but here's a package to advertise. This is in early January. And I just said, no, we don't pay for advertising, we earn it. And we don't want to pay for advertising because if we're doing something wrong, we want you to call us out. That's part of your job. You should say, hey, BT is not doing this well, and we'll listen and correct it. It's part of the role. And when we didn't advertise with these guys, 3 weeks later, BT was losing money. For the last 2 years, BT was in a horrible place. Now, we're doing really well. We've outperformed financially LMT and Tele2 for 3 years. Like, we're doing really well. We got sold for a really good price. Everybody's super happy. But the newspaper printed, even Dennis Business, they have these winner and losers. So one week the guys told me I was a winner in the winner column, my picture because BT was so successful financially for the last year. And then the next year when I got in a fight with the Nest business, I was a loser because BT had lost money for the last 2 years. No, wait a second. How can you lose money for the last 2 years and then last year you made money? You're the most successful. So there's lots of little things like that, and you guys have to stop it. You are the generation that has to kill it. You can't kill it all, but you really have to take a role in it. And I really beg you, implore you, like, to do this. Knock it out. Country won't be as great as its potential if it's still corrupt, and there's lots of it there. Journalism is really bad. Juris Kaja is the only one that is really sort of better in my view. At least he calls everybody shit all the time. He makes fun of people, businesses. But you have to knock this out. I'm not saying that Canada or any other country I've worked in is free of it. When I went home last, the government lost $425 million Canadian. How do you lose $425 million? It doesn't fall out of your pocket. So we have our problems, but here it's just more endemic. Yeah, and I find the Latvian society is not tough enough on it. How can a minister, a former minister in the government, who I see in some places sometimes, business places, he's like worth 100 million euros. The government paycheck is 1,000 a month. Even if you added that up for 9,200 years, which people don't normally live that long, you won't get that much money. So just push, you don't be part of it. Yeah, my friend had a really good saying once, don't do anything that you wouldn't want on TV the next day, which does rule out some fun, I admit. Okay, if you guys will just bear with me for 5 minutes, I have an exercise for you. Is that okay? Will you spare 5 more minutes? Okay. Now, all of you guys are students and you have a pen and a paper, yeah? If you don't have it, use your arm. Give yourself a tattoo. Just get a pen and a paper. Okay, ready? Almost. Thanks for putting vodka in this. It makes the day go by.
Maybe I was just lying about water.
You put vodka in here. It's great. It's really good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That was a nice little unexpected surprise. Okay, ready? We're going to do the rocket ship exercise, and I'm going to tell you about why later. So imagine at BT Latvia, we made, last year we made 50, at the group level, we made 52 million euros in profit. And today we found out there's a huge asteroid on its way to Earth, and it's going to wipe out Earth. Imagine, once it hits, there'll be nothing left, yeah? There'll be just stone, dust. So because BT has profit, I'm giving all of you guys, all of you students, yes, a free ride to safety on the BT rocket ship. Okay? That's Dinas, our pilot. There. Okay. So, you only have 2 minutes to do this. The rocket ship, we're going to have to take all the BT employees. We have 247 women and a bunch of men, so we don't have room for all of your stuff. So when I say go, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take 7 things with you. I'm not going to be specific what they are, but you can only have space for 7 things. The rest, leave your dog here. Toast. Asteroid hits, your dog's toast. Leave your cat here. I hate cats anyway. Leave them. There's lots of cat people in the room. Sorry.
There are a lot of dog people here as well.
Okay. Keep the dog, bring the dogs, leave the cat. You only have 7 things you can bring. So as an example, I'm not going to give you too many examples. An example, one could be books. One could be your music. One could be your boyfriend. One could be your dog. One could be beer. Yes. I like you. We're going to get along just fine. Okay, so 7 things on the left-hand side, and those 7, I hope there's 7 lines there. Ready? Go! They're young students. They're going to do this really fast.
I have a question. Is there a kitchen there?
There's oxygen in there. It's a safe rocket ship. My engineers built it.
Kitchen?
No, there's, we're going to give you food and water. But if you want special food, put it on your list. Now remember, I don't want to stress you guys out, but the other things that aren't on the list, they get burnt up, crushed, died, killed, mutilated. Otherwise, they're left behind, they're done. You're thinking, I'm going to leave my sister, I don't like her. Okay, 1 minute's gone. You only have 1 more minute. Time's ticking. You're not taking your boyfriend? Really? Shit. Don't tell him that tonight. Don't tell him that tonight. I'm leaving you behind, honey, sorry. 45 seconds left. Remember, what you leave behind is dead, crushed, killed. You guys are done? The guys in the back are all done. Girls, beer, music. Girls, beer, music, and then girls, beer, music. Okay, you have 15 seconds left. Everything else dies. 10 seconds. And then I want to see your pens up in the air because you can't cheat. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. I'm not waiting for you. You got 2 seconds, 1 second, put the pen up in the air.
4 things.
No. 4 things? Shit, you wasted space. Dude. Okay, pen's up, no writing. He said, I drink my beer anyway. Okay, ready? Okay, let me tell you about what those are. Those are likely things that are connected to your values. Yeah? Yeah, you're like drugs, wine, music, more drugs. Ah, shit. You don't have to show these to your parents or your teacher. But those are likely things that are really important to you, and why they're important, they connect with you. Connect with your values. And one of the last lessons, but important lessons, is that if you're not in harmony with your value, you put your list away, you're like, forget it. But if you're not in harmony with your values, no matter where you are in life, in your company or in your work or with your partner, then things don't work. So it's really important. So I just found out some really bad news. The rocket ship has to be smaller. Yeah? Because a lot of people brought heavy items. So I'm going to ask you now, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You have to you have to bring it down to 3 items. So 1, 2, 3, and you can't put these 2 as 1. 3 items, and you're going to only have 30 seconds to go. Beer, more drugs, beer. You have 15 seconds left. The other things die, and I'm going to have to put your hand up in the air. 10 seconds. Stuff as much beer as you can. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. Okay, hands up in the air. Stop. You only started with 4, so it was easy. It was like only 1 less. Out go the study notes. Okay, so if you really wanted to get really clear about your values, they're likely around these 3 things. If it's books, it's more about knowledge. Yeah. which means that if you're not in a job that you're continuously learning, go to a different job. Yeah, and I could do another exercise if we had more time, but I know it's sunny. It's Friday night, Thursday night, which is party night, and you're thinking, fuck, let's get out of here. And I agree. But those things are connected to your values, and they're really important. And you'll find, knowing or not, better to know about it, that if you're not in harmony with those three things, then it's not a good place to be. And generally, if you want to build a great company, a really kick-ass company, then make sure that most of the people have share the same values, because then everybody talks the same language. Yeah, they share the same things. Even though in our office, you'll see people without socks walking around, you'll see a suit, you'll see a person that looks like they just woke up, probably did just wake up. You'll see all kinds of different people. Today we had a dress-up day for some St. Patrick's Day, and there are some really, really great-looking costumes. But those three things unite, or four things unite a company. And then if you hire for that, and you always get people that are coming in that share those values, then you don't have to be like one of these companies. And I'm afraid, I know you're a school well, but it's probably not, he's not your father, is he? Yours, first of all? No. So, you know, companies state their mission and values and their vision and all that stuff, and it's done by somebody, an executive 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Problem is, when you hire all you guys, young kids, you often don't share those values. So you'll almost never be able to put that company on fire unless you have people that all share the same values, because there's just not harmony there. Okay, as my friend would say, I'm going to shut the fuck up now. Innovation, challenge and health. Challenge and health. So I like innovation. If we're not in BT, if we're not doing so, wow, you know what, we did a press conference. I had to organize our first ever press conference using Periscope. That's fantastic. That's something that really motivated me to go and do that, because nobody else did it before. So innovation is really, like, I get excited about that stuff. And challenge, give me the worst company. Like after BT, I want to take a job where it's the worst bloody company on earth. It's full of like 1,000 people that hate everything. That would be perfect. That's a place to start, and that would be a big challenge for me. And health, my wife is a vegan, which means that I eat lamb chops when she's at yoga on Monday nights, and then nothing else for the week. One last thing, you guys. If you want me to do a presentation skills workshop one afternoon, then let me know, because I'd be happy to do it, and it's a super good skill, and I offer you can organize it. Yeah? Cool. Have a good day. Have a good party tonight. Enjoy your party.